Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing HFY stories. Hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest uploads. Elijah Miller had never expected his stint as an engineer on the Juno space colony orbiting Jupiter to include interstellar diplomacy, least of all an alien marriage proposal. The colony, a sprawling hub of technological innovation and cultural exchange, buzzed with representatives from various planets, each contributing to a unique tapestry of life forms. Yet, the Xylonians remained one of the most enigmatic participants in the alliance. This was where Zara, a high-ranking Xylonian envoy, came into Elijah's surprisingly ordinary human life. One evening, after a lengthy discussion on thermal energy converters, Zara's voice softened, diverging from the technical to the personal. "My family wants us to get married, human," she said, her luminous eyes focusing intently on him. Elijah, who was used to alien figures of speech, paused, processing her words. "Excuse me, come again," he chuckled, assuming he'd misunderstood. But Zara didn't laugh. Instead, she repeated her statement with calm clarity. "In Xylon, marriage among different species is considered a pillar of galactic peace and understanding. My family, particularly influential in our diplomatic corps, sees great potential in a union with a human, specifically, you, Elijah Miller, for your contributions here and your open-mindedness toward our delegates." Elijah's mind raced. Marriage? He barely knew Zara outside their professional interactions, and her proposal was not just unexpected but nearly unthinkable. Yet, as he gazed at her expectant expression, he couldn't dismiss the gravity of what she was proposing. "Let's talk about this, Zara. I mean, I'm honored, truly. But this is sudden. Why me? And why is this important to your family?" Elijah asked. Zara led him to the colony's viewing deck, where the giant swirling storms of Jupiter cast a restless glow. "You see, Elijah, Xylon's commitment to peace extends through family ties. Marrying someone from another world isn't just symbolic, it integrates our societies, shares our strengths and vulnerabilities, and builds trust on the most personal levels," she explained. Their conversation stretched into hours as Zara detailed the cultural significance of such unions. She spoke of Xylon, a planet where political alliances were as fluid as the ammonia oceans covering its surface, and where familial bonds often decided the fate of many diplomatic endeavors. Moved by her sincerity and the monumental possibility of genuinely aiding interstellar relations, Elijah agreed to consider her proposal seriously. He asked for time to learn about Xylonian culture and customs, to which Zara eagerly agreed. Over the next few weeks, Elijah immersed himself in everything Xylonian. Zara introduced him to her planet's rich history, its complex etiquette, and its profound philosophy. They shared meals where Zara described the flavors and farming techniques of each dish. Elijah learned to appreciate the subtle art of Xylonian conversation, where every gesture had meaning, and silence spoke as loudly as words. As they spent time together, Elijah documented these experiences in a personal log, which he shared on the colony's internal network. To his surprise, his entries garnered significant interest among the colony's residents. Humans and aliens alike were fascinated by his insights into a culture few understood from the inside. Elijah found himself not just respecting Zara but genuinely liking her. She was brilliant, thoughtful, and surprisingly humorous once one understood the nuances of Xylonian wit. Their relationship, built on a foundation of mutual respect and curiosity, began to blossom into something that felt right, despite the strangeness of how it began. After much consideration and many discussions with Zara and his own family back on Earth, Elijah agreed to a formal engagement. The announcement was made during a colony-wide broadcast, intended to celebrate this unique union as a step toward deeper understanding and cooperation between species. However, not everyone viewed their union in such a hopeful light. As news of their engagement spread, some factions within the colony expressed their displeasure. Cultural purists and those fearful of too much alien influence among the human population voiced their objections quietly but forcefully. Moreover, a mysterious threat emerged from the shadows of the colony. Just days after the engagement, an attempt was made on Elijah's life, sabotage to his workspace that could have been fatal had Zara not warned him of some irregularities she noticed in the lab security logs. The part ends with the colony on edge, and the couple more determined than ever to prove that unity was possible, even necessary, for the future. As they prepared for their upcoming marriage, they also had to navigate the dangers that their union had unwittingly provoked, underscoring the significant challenges still lying ahead in their journey toward intercultural harmony. The days following Elijah and Zara's engagement announcement were a whirlwind of events. While many in the Juno space colony celebrated their union as a historic moment for interspecies diplomacy, others simmered with unease. Elijah found himself in a peculiar spotlight, half cheered, half criticized. His inbox overflowed with messages ranging from congratulatory notes to thinly veiled threats. Zara, ever calm, reminded him that progress always faced resistance, but even her composed demeanor couldn't mask her concern. Integration training. Zara invited Elijah to a Xylonian cultural immersion program held in the diplomatic wing of the colony. The program, designed to help non-Xylonians understand her people's customs, covered topics from communication protocols to culinary practices. Elijah was eager but nervous. He didn't want to offend Zara's people or appear ignorant. The first lesson was about resonance communication, a Xylonian practice where emotions and intentions were conveyed through harmonic tones. Humans found it difficult to mimic, but Elijah's earnest attempts brought laughter and approval from the Xylonian instructors. "You're doing better than most humans," Zara said, suppressing a smirk. "Although your tone resembles the mating call of a Jupiter bat." "Thanks for the encouragement," Elijah replied dryly, but he couldn't help grinning at her teasing. The immersion program also introduced him to Xylonian rituals, including the binding ceremony, the wedding tradition he and Zara would soon participate in. Elijah learned that the ceremony wasn't just symbolic, it required participants to mentally synchronize through a shared memory link, a deeply intimate experience that Xylonians believed fostered lifelong understanding. Elijah worried about whether he could perform this mental link. Humans lacked the natural telepathic abilities of Xylonians, and while technology could simulate the connection, it was known to cause discomfort for humans unfamiliar with the process. Mounting tensions. As the wedding preparations continued, tensions on the colony escalated. One night, Zara received a cryptic message from a Xylonian envoy: "Proceed with caution. Certain factions oppose this union." Elijah overheard the message. "Do you think they mean us?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Zara nodded. "There are elements within both our societies that resist change. For some humans, the idea of merging cultures is threatening. And some Xylonians believe our traditions should remain pure." Their fears were confirmed when Elijah's quarters were breached. Security systems were disabled, and strange glyphs, Xylonian symbols warning of betrayal, were scrawled across his walls. The colony's security forces launched an investigation, but with so many species present, pinpointing a suspect proved difficult. The incident left Zara visibly shaken. "I didn't realize how far some would go to stop this," she admitted. "Perhaps we should reconsider." "No," Elijah interrupted. "This is about more than us now. If we give in, it sets a precedent that fear wins. We can't let them scare us into backing down." Zara studied him for a long moment before nodding. "You're right, Elijah. But we must be careful." An unexpected ally. Amid the turmoil, an unexpected ally emerged: Captain Theros, a respected Martian officer overseeing colony security. Theros, a towering figure with bioluminescent implants from his Martian ancestry, approached the couple with an offer of protection. "I've seen enough of these political games," Theros said. "Your union may be controversial, but it's also necessary. If the galaxy is going to survive the challenges ahead, we need partnerships like yours." Theros assigned a team of mixed-species security personnel to watch over Elijah and Zara. Among them was Dessa, a Xylonian tactical expert with a pragmatic outlook and sharp instincts. Dessa's loyalty to Zara and belief in their cause made her an invaluable ally. Under Theros and Dessa's watchful eyes, Elijah and Zara were able to focus on their preparations, though the tension in the air was palpable. The binding ceremony test. Before the official binding ceremony, Elijah and Zara underwent a trial synchronization to ensure compatibility. The process involved using a neural link device to simulate the shared memory experience. Zara guided Elijah through the procedure, explaining that it would allow him to temporarily access fragments of her memories. "Don't be alarmed if it feels strange," she said. "It's a deeply personal experience, but I trust you." As the device activated, Elijah's mind was flooded with images of Zara's life on Xylon. He saw vast ammonia oceans under an emerald sky, towering crystalline cities, and moments of Zara's childhood, her first lessons in diplomacy, her triumphs, and her fears. The connection was overwhelming but beautiful, giving him a profound sense of her as a person. Then, unexpectedly, a darker memory emerged. Zara was arguing with a shadowy figure in a Xylonian council chamber. The figure's words were sharp and accusatory, and Zara's expression was one of defiance. Before Elijah could fully grasp the context, the link severed. Zara looked shaken as the device deactivated. "What did you see?" she asked cautiously. "You, arguing with someone." "Who was it?" Elijah asked. Zara hesitated. "A council elder. He opposed my appointment as envoy. He believes Xylon should limit its interactions with humans." Elijah's heart sank. "Do you think he's behind the threats?" "It's possible," Zara admitted. "But we need proof." An explosive warning. Just as the couple began to regroup, disaster struck. During a routine supply delivery to the colony's docking bay, an explosion ripped through the area. While no lives were lost, the blast was clearly a message: their union was under attack. Captain Theros convened an emergency meeting, presenting evidence that the bomb contained materials unique to Xylonian technology. Zara's expression hardened. "This isn't just about us anymore. Someone wants to sabotage the peace between our worlds." Elijah stepped forward. "Then we fight back, not with weapons, but with unity. Our wedding will go on, and will show everyone that fear and hatred don't have to win." Cliffhanger. As the part ends, Elijah and Zara stand resolute, but the stakes have never been higher. Hidden forces threaten not just their lives but the fragile alliance between their species. With the binding ceremony approaching and danger lurking in the shadows, they prepare to face their greatest challenge yet, proving that love, trust, and unity can overcome even the deepest divides. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure watches their every move, preparing to strike when they least expect it. The explosion in the docking bay rattled not just the colony's infrastructure but its very sense of security. While no lives were lost, the message was clear: Elijah and Zara's union was a threat to someone, and they were willing to use violence to stop it. The colony's administration ramped up security, with Captain Theros and his team working around the clock to uncover the perpetrators. Still, the atmosphere on Juno felt heavier, more volatile. A council divided. Zara, accompanied by Dessa, met with the Xylonian council representative stationed on Juno, a stoic figure named Elder Kairos. Kairos was known for his conservative stance on interspecies relations, often arguing that Xylon's traditions should remain untainted by outside influences. As Zara entered his chamber, the elder barely glanced at her. "Zara," he began, his tone clipped, "this union of yours has caused quite the stir. Surely, you understand why some would view it as problematic." "Problematic?" Zara retorted, her calm facade cracking. "This union represents progress. It's a symbol of cooperation and understanding. Are we to cling to isolationism while the galaxy evolves around us?" Kairos leaned back, his expression unreadable. "Progress must not come at the expense of tradition. There are those who believe your actions betray our people. And do you count yourself among them, Elder? Zara asked, her voice steady despite the tension. Kairos didn't answer directly. Instead, he gestured to a holomap of the galaxy. Be careful, Zara. The path you've chosen is fraught with danger, for you and your human companion. Reinforced bonds. Meanwhile, Elijah found himself thrust deeper into Xylonian culture. Under Dessa's guidance, he prepared for the binding ceremony, determined to show Zara and the Xylonians that he was committed to their partnership. One aspect of the preparation involved learning a Xylonian dance performed during the ceremony. It was a physical representation of unity, with partners moving in synchrony to create a flowing, harmonious pattern. Despite his best efforts, Elijah's human coordination struggled to keep up with the intricate steps. Dessa watched his attempts with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. You're trying too hard, she said. The dance isn't about perfection, it's about trust. Let go of your overthinking and focus on Zara. She'll guide you. Taking her advice to heart, Elijah practiced with Zara later that evening. Her movements were fluid and graceful, and as he followed her lead, he found himself relaxing. For the first time, he felt the dance's meaning, a silent communication, a promise to move together through whatever challenges lay ahead. I think I'm getting the hang of it, Elijah said, grinning. Zara laughed softly. You're better than you think, Elijah. And more importantly, you're trying. That means more than words can say. The saboteur. Despite the heightened security, the colony remained on edge. Theros' team uncovered evidence suggesting that the bomb materials had been smuggled onto Juno through a supply ship. However, the trail quickly went cold, leaving more questions than answers. Determined to uncover the truth, Elijah and Zara decided to take matters into their own hands. They accessed the colony's surveillance logs, hoping to find a clue missed by the official investigation. Their persistence paid off. Late one night, as they reviewed hours of footage, they spotted a figure tampering with the docking bay controls just before the explosion. The figure was cloaked, their face obscured, but a subtle gesture, a unique Xylonian hand signal, revealed their identity to Zara. Her face darkened. It's Kairos' aide. His most trusted advisor. Elijah frowned. Do you think Kairos ordered this? I don't know, Zara admitted. But we need proof before we can act. The hidden rift. The discovery left Elijah and Zara with a difficult choice: confront Kairos directly or continue investigating in secret. Zara, ever the diplomat, opted for the latter, hoping to avoid further fracturing the fragile peace within the colony. They enlisted Dessa's help, and together, the trio devised a plan to intercept communications between Kairos and his aide. Using a combination of Xylonian technology and human ingenuity, they hacked into the aide's encrypted messages, uncovering a disturbing network of conspirators. The messages revealed a coordinated effort to sabotage not just the wedding but the entire alliance between humans and Xylonians. The conspirators, a mix of extremists from both species, believed that cooperation threatened their cultural purity. Elijah's blood boiled as he read the messages. They're willing to tear down everything we've built, all for their narrow-minded ideals. Zara placed a hand on his shoulder, her expression resolute. Then we stop them. Together. A public declaration. Despite the growing danger, Elijah and Zara decided to press forward with the wedding. They made a public declaration, inviting not just the colony's residents but dignitaries from across the galaxy to witness the union. The announcement was met with mixed reactions. While many applauded their courage, others warned that such a high-profile event could invite further attacks. Captain Theros bolstered security, turning the colony into a fortress, but the threat remained ever-present. As preparations continued, Zara and Elijah grew closer. The challenges they faced only strengthened their bond, and Elijah found himself admiring Zara's unwavering determination. She, in turn, drew strength from his resilience and willingness to adapt. A dangerous revelation. As the wedding day approached, a new piece of intelligence came to light. Dessa uncovered evidence that the conspirators planned to strike during the ceremony itself, using the event's high profile to send a message to the galaxy. Faced with this revelation, Theros suggested postponing the wedding. "It's too dangerous," he argued. "We can't guarantee everyone's safety." But Elijah and Zara refused. "Postponing means letting fear win," Elijah said. "We can't let them dictate our choices." Zara nodded in agreement. "The ceremony will go on. But we'll be ready." Cliffhanger. The part ends with the wedding day finally arriving. The binding ceremony is set to take place in the colony's Grand Hall, a breathtaking venue filled with representatives from dozens of species. As Elijah and Zara stand side by side, preparing to make history, the conspirators make their move. A shadowy figure slips through the crowd, carrying a hidden device. Meanwhile, Zara senses something amiss, a faint ripple in the collective resonance of the Xylonians present. She glances at Elijah, her hand tightening around his. "Stay close," she whispers. In the shadows, Dessa watches the figure, her instincts screaming that something terrible is about to happen. The stage is set for a climactic confrontation, with the fate of the Union, and perhaps the galaxy, hanging in the balance. The day of the binding ceremony arrived, and the entire Juno space colony felt like it was holding its collective breath. The Grand Hall, a vast chamber adorned with holographic constellations and shimmering banners representing each allied species, was packed with representatives from across the galaxy. The air buzzed with anticipation, though an undercurrent of tension lingered, unspoken but palpable. The ceremony begins. Elijah stood at the center of the hall, dressed in ceremonial Xylonian attire. The robes, woven with bioluminescent threads, glowed faintly, matching the hall's ethereal atmosphere. Zara entered moments later, her appearance breathtaking. Her crystalline gown refracted light into a kaleidoscope of colors, and the intricate patterns on her skin shimmered with soft radiance. The crowd fell silent as she joined him on the ceremonial platform. The binding ceremony required absolute focus and trust. Elijah and Zara would share a neural link, merging their memories and emotions into a single shared experience. For the Xylonians, this was a sacred act, a merging of souls that symbolized unity in understanding. As the officiant, an elder Xylonian priestess named Vera, began the invocation, Elijah felt a mix of awe and trepidation. The priestess chanted in harmonic tones, her voice resonating in the chamber like the hum of distant stars. Zara reached for Elijah's hands, her touch steady and reassuring. "Trust me," she whispered. "We'll do this together." A suspicious presence. While the ceremony unfolded, Dessa kept a vigilant eye on the crowd. Hidden among the dignitaries and attendees were Captain Theros' security personnel, scanning for any signs of trouble. From her vantage point near the rear of the hall, Dessa spotted a figure moving against the flow of the ceremony. The individual's behavior was subtle but deliberate, lingering too long near exits, glancing toward the ceremonial platform as if calculating distance. "Theros," Dessa murmured into her communicator. "I've got a potential threat, North Quadrant, near the auxiliary power terminal." "Sending visuals." The captain's voice crackled back. "We're on it. Stay on them but don't engage unless necessary." Dessa followed the figure, keeping her distance. She could see they were carrying something, a small device partially concealed under their cloak. Her stomach tightened. The last thing anyone needed was another explosion. The neural link. Back on the platform, Elijah and Zara prepared for the neural link. The priestess activated the device, a small crystalline orb that hovered between them. Its light intensified as it initiated the connection, creating a shimmering web of energy. Elijah's vision blurred, and suddenly, he wasn't standing in the hall anymore. Instead, he was in a vast, dreamlike landscape, a fusion of memories, emotions, and thoughts. He saw flashes of Zara's life, her childhood on Xylon, the crystalline cities she called home, her triumphs and failures as a diplomat. He felt her pride, her fears, and her unwavering hope for the future. In return, Zara experienced Elijah's memories. She saw his early fascination with engineering, his struggles to prove himself on Earth, and his quiet determination to build a better world. She felt his awe at the vastness of space and his growing affection for her. The connection deepened, and for a brief moment, they felt truly united, two minds, two lives, interwoven into something greater. The attack unfolds. Just as the link reached its peak, the ceremony was interrupted by a sudden commotion. A loud bang echoed through the hall as a smoke bomb detonated near the entrance, sending the crowd into chaos. Security personnel moved swiftly to contain the situation, but it was clear the attack was meant to distract. Dessa, still trailing the suspicious figure, saw them move toward the auxiliary power terminal. She bolted after them, drawing her sidearm. "Stop! Security!" The figure turned, revealing themselves to be Kairos' aide. They activated the device they were carrying, a disruptor designed to overload the colony's power grid. If it went off, it would plunge the colony into darkness and potentially cause catastrophic damage. "I don't want to hurt you," Dessa said, leveling her weapon. "But I will stop you." The aide sneered. "You think this union will bring peace? It will only bring ruin." Before the disruptor could activate, Dessa fired, her shot striking the device and rendering it inert. The aide lunged at her, but Dessa was faster, subduing them with a precise takedown. A united stand. Back on the platform, Zara and Elijah emerged from the neural link, disoriented but unharmed. The smoke in the hall began to clear, revealing the chaos that had erupted. Despite the interruption, Zara stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise with the clarity of a true leader. "This attack is proof of why this union is necessary," she declared, her tone firm and unwavering. "There are those who fear unity, who would rather cling to division and hatred. But we will not be intimidated. Today, we stand together, not just as Xylonian and human, but as beings who believe in a shared future." Elijah joined her, his voice steady. "This isn't just about us. It's about proving that differences don't have to divide us. That together, we're stronger than fear or hatred." The crowd, inspired by their courage, erupted into applause. Even some of the skeptics seemed moved by their words. Aftermath. With the ceremony complete and the threat neutralized, the colony began to settle back into normalcy. Captain Theros interrogated the captured aide, uncovering the full extent of the conspiracy. It turned out that Kairos himself had not directly ordered the attacks, but his rhetoric had emboldened extremist factions on both sides. Kairos, faced with undeniable evidence of his aide's involvement, was forced to resign his position. Zara, meanwhile, received widespread support from the Xylonian Council, her actions cementing her reputation as a diplomat willing to take bold steps for peace. A new beginning. As the dust settled, Elijah and Zara took a moment to themselves, standing together on the colony's observation deck. Jupiter loomed large in the window, its swirling storms a reminder of the chaos they had faced, and overcome. "We did it," Elijah said, his voice tinged with amazement. Zara smiled, her gaze steady. "We did. But this is just the beginning. There's so much more work to be done." Elijah nodded. "As long as we're doing it together, I think we'll be okay." The part ends with the couple looking out into the vastness of space, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. But even as they celebrate their victory, a shadowy figure in a distant part of the galaxy watches their progress with interest, hinting at new threats yet to come. The binding ceremony had succeeded against all odds, and the galaxy celebrated the union as a milestone for interspecies cooperation. The images of Elijah and Zara, standing together on the ceremonial platform, became a symbol of hope. However, the days that followed were far from peaceful. The conspiracy was not entirely dismantled, and the cracks in the alliance between humans and Xylonians remained. Diplomatic fallout. While Zara received commendation from many Xylonian council members, others were less supportive. Conservative factions argued that the wedding had weakened Xylan's cultural identity and that Zara's actions had set a dangerous precedent. Elder Kairos, though disgraced by his aide's involvement in the attack, continued to exert influence among these dissenters. From his exile on a Xylonian moon, he broadcast thinly veiled accusations against Zara, claiming she had compromised the integrity of their traditions for personal gain. Elijah, meanwhile, faced his own set of challenges. Back on Earth, the media had latched onto his story, painting him as either a hero or a fool, depending on the outlet. His family, supportive but overwhelmed, became targets of public scrutiny. His sister's calls were filled with concern. "Are you sure this is worth it, Elijah?" she asked during one conversation. "You've put yourself, and all of us, in the spotlight." "I know it's hard," Elijah replied. "But this is bigger than me. It's about showing that unity is possible. Rebuilding trust." Despite the external pressures, Elijah and Zara focused on mending the trust that had been damaged by the attacks. Together, they organized forums on the Juno space colony, inviting representatives from different species to share their concerns and ideas. At one forum, a Xylonian scientist named Tavrix raised a pressing question. "How do we ensure that such acts of sabotage don't happen again? Trust is fragile, and fear is easily exploited." Elijah responded earnestly. "We can't eliminate fear overnight, but we can combat it with understanding. That's why Zara and I are here, to listen, to learn, and to prove that cooperation works." Zara added, "Our cultures are different, yes, but that doesn't mean they're incompatible. If we focus on what unites us instead of what divides us, we can build something stronger." Their words resonated with many attendees, though a few remained skeptical. The forums became a regular feature on the colony, fostering dialogue and slowly rebuilding the fractured alliance. Unseen threats. While the forums made progress, the conspirators who had escaped capture regrouped in the shadows. They communicated through encrypted channels, their plans growing more dangerous with each passing day. Among them was a human extremist named Marcus Raid, a former military officer disillusioned by the growing influence of alien species in human territories. Raid's charisma and tactical mind made him a natural leader for the anti-alliance faction. He viewed Elijah and Zara's union as a direct threat to humanity's sovereignty and vowed to dismantle the alliance by any means necessary. "We gave them an inch, and now they want the galaxy," Raid declared during a clandestine meeting. "This marriage is just the beginning of their takeover. It's time to remind them who we are." The conspirators began orchestrating a series of attacks, targeting key diplomatic hubs across the galaxy. Their goal was to sow chaos and distrust, making cooperation between species impossible. A shocking attack. The tension reached a boiling point when one of the forums on Juno was attacked. A small explosive device, planted in the main hall, detonated just as Zara was about to speak. The blast injured several attendees and caused significant damage to the colony's infrastructure. Elijah, who had been standing beside Zara, shielded her from the worst of the explosion. Though shaken, they both emerged relatively unharmed. The same couldn't be said for the forum's attendees, many of whom were rushed to the colony's medical center. In the aftermath, Captain Theros led the investigation, but the attackers had left little evidence behind. Dessa, still recovering from injuries she'd sustained during the ceremony attack, returned to duty despite her protests. "I'm not sitting this one out," she insisted. "We need to stop this before it escalates further." Strength amid chaos. The attack reignited fear and suspicion among the colony's residents. Some questioned whether the alliance was worth the cost, while others called for tighter security and harsher measures against dissenters. Elijah and Zara refused to back down. They doubled their efforts, visiting the injured in the medical center and speaking directly to those affected by the attack. One of the injured attendees, a Xylonian youth named Calyx, looked up at Zara with tear-filled eyes. Why do they hate us? He asked. Zara knelt beside him, her voice soft but firm. They don't hate you, Calyx. They fear what they don't understand. But fear can be overcome, with courage, kindness, and determination. Elijah added, and we'll keep fighting to make sure no one has to face that fear alone. Their actions inspired many, but the scars left by the attack were undeniable. Security measures were tightened across the colony, and Theros' team worked tirelessly to uncover the perpetrators. Unlikely allies. In a surprising turn, Elder Kairos reached out to Zara. Though he still opposed her union with Elijah, he recognized that the growing violence threatened everyone. We may not agree, Zara, Kairos said during a private communication, but these extremists endanger more than your alliance. They endanger Xylan itself. I will provide you with what information I have, though I expect nothing in return. Zara accepted his offer, understanding that alliances could be formed even in the unlikeliest of places. Kairos' information proved invaluable, leading Theros' team to uncover a hidden network of conspirators operating within the colony. The discovery brought them closer to identifying Marcus Raid and his group, but time was running out. Cliffhanger. The part ends with Dessa intercepting a transmission from Raid's group. The message is brief but chilling: the gala will be our next stage. Let them celebrate, they won't see it coming. Elijah and Zara, now aware of the plot, must decide whether to cancel the upcoming interspecies gala, a critical event aimed at solidifying the alliance, or face the threat head-on. As they prepare for the gala, knowing the danger that awaits, the stakes have never been higher. The galaxy watches, and in the shadows, Raid's forces move closer to executing their most devastating attack yet. The interspecies gala was a critical event, meant to solidify the alliance and celebrate the successes of intergalactic cooperation. Representatives from dozens of species were set to attend, with Elijah and Zara as the event centerpiece, a living symbol of unity. But with Marcus Raid's chilling threat looming, every moment leading up to the gala was fraught with tension. Preparation and tension. In the days leading to the event, security was tightened across the Juno space colony. Captain Theros coordinated a massive operation, deploying drones, surveillance systems, and personnel to monitor every corner of the venue. Elijah and Zara prepared for their speeches, but the weight of the threat hung over them like a storm cloud. During one late-night practice session, Elijah glanced at Zara, who was reviewing her notes in silence. "You're worried," he said. She sighed, lowering the holographic display. "A part of me wonders if we're making the right choice. If we're putting everyone here in danger by going forward with this." Elijah stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "Zara, if we back down, they win. Fear wins. This gala is about showing the galaxy that unity is stronger than division. We have to believe in that." Zara managed a small smile. "You always seem to find the right words." A shadow among the guests. The gala venue was breathtaking, a dome of translucent material that allowed a stunning view of Jupiter's swirling storms. Lights danced across the ceiling, creating a spectacle of color and motion. Delegates from across the galaxy mingled, dressed in their finest attire, exchanging pleasantries and toasts. Beneath the glamour, security was on high alert. Captain Theros stationed his team strategically, blending into the crowd to observe every movement. Dessa, still recovering from her injuries, patrolled the perimeter with sharp eyes. She noticed a peculiar figure, a human male lingering near the power conduits. He wore the formal attire required of all guests, but his movements were stiff, calculated. "Theros, I've got a possible threat," Dessa whispered into her communicator. "Near the main power terminal. Looks like he's trying to stay out of sight." Theros responded immediately. "Do not engage. I'm sending backup. Stay on him." Dessa shadowed the man, her pulse quickening. She recognized him from the files, Marcus Raid. "The gala begins." The gala opened with a series of performances highlighting the cultures of various allied species. Dancers from the aquatic world of Limera performed a mesmerizing display of bioluminescent artistry, while musicians from the Martian colonies played haunting melodies that echoed across the dome. Finally, the spotlight turned to Elijah and Zara. The crowd fell silent as they stepped onto the stage, the holographic projector creating a backdrop of a unified galaxy. Zara spoke first, her voice strong and steady. Today, we stand here not as representatives of two separate species, but as a testament to what is possible when we choose understanding over fear, unity over division. This gala is more than a celebration, it is a commitment to a shared future. Elijah followed, his words carrying the same passion. We know that fear thrives in the unknown, but so does opportunity. Together, we can build bridges where there were once walls. This alliance is proof that our differences are strengths, not weaknesses. The crowd erupted in applause, but Zara's eyes flickered toward the shadows at the edge of the dome. Something felt wrong. The sabotage unfolds. Meanwhile, Dessa's pursuit of Raid led her into the gala's control room. Raid was already inside, setting up a device that pulsed with a faint red light, an EMP generator capable of disabling the colony's systems and plunging the venue into chaos. Step away from the device. Dessa shouted, aiming her weapon. Raid turned, his face cold and resolute. You think stopping me here will change anything? This gala, this alliance, it's a lie. The galaxy doesn't want unity. It thrives on competition, on strength. Dessa stepped closer. You don't speak for the galaxy. You're just scared of a world where your old ways don't matter anymore. Raid smirked. Maybe. But let's see how well your unity holds up in the dark. He lunged for the device, but Dessa was faster. She fired, hitting his arm and forcing him to drop the detonator. The two engaged in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, Raid using his military training to keep Dessa on the defensive. She managed to disarm him but not before he activated the generator's timer. You're too late, he sneered. A desperate race. Dessa reported the situation to Theros, who relayed it to Elijah and Zara as subtly as possible. The timer was set for 3 minutes. If the EMP went off, the colony's systems, including life support, would shut down, endangering everyone. Elijah and Zara exchanged a look. We can't let this happen, Elijah said. We have to stop it. Theros coordinated a plan. While he and his team secured Raid, Zara and Elijah rushed to the control room. Dessa, battered but determined, was already attempting to disable the device. This thing's locked with a biometric failsafe, Dessa said as they arrived. We need Raid's handprint or someone who can hack it. Elijah stepped forward. I'm an engineer. Let me try. Zara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. You can do this. Elijah worked quickly, bypassing layers of security protocols while Zara and Dessa kept an eye on the timer. The seconds ticked away, each beep of the device echoing in their ears. A narrow victory. With less than 10 seconds remaining, Elijah bypassed the final lock. The generator powered down, the red light fading into nothingness. He exhaled in relief, sinking to his knees. You did it, Zara said, pulling him into a tight embrace. Dessa smirked despite her injuries. Not bad for a human. As Theros' team apprehended Raid and his co-conspirators, the gala resumed, the near-disaster unknown to most of the attendees. Elijah and Zara returned to the stage, determined to finish what they started. Cliffhanger. The gala ended on a high note, with delegates pledging renewed commitment to the alliance. But in the shadows, another figure watched the event through a holographic display, a high-ranking Xylonian official who had secretly supported Raid's agenda. Interesting, the figure murmured. They've proven resilient. But this is far from over. As Elijah and Zara celebrated their victory, unaware of the new threat, the galaxy's future remained uncertain. The battle for unity had been won, but the war for peace was far from finished. The Gala's near disaster was averted, but the incident left a scar on the fragile alliance. While Elijah and Zara's bravery was celebrated by many, whispers of conspiracy and betrayal spread across the galaxy. In the aftermath, Marcus Raid and his co-conspirators were interrogated, revealing shocking truths that hinted at deeper, more insidious forces working against interspecies unity. The interrogation. Captain Theros and Dessa led the questioning of Marcus Raid, whose smug demeanor hadn't faded despite his failure. "You think this ends with me?" Raid sneered as Theros circled him in the sterile interrogation chamber. "I'm just a piece on the board. You haven't even seen the real players. Then why don't you enlighten us?" Theros growled. Raid leaned back in his chair, his eyes gleaming. "You think this alliance is about peace? It's a power grab. Both sides are vying for dominance, using your precious unity as a facade. And you too," he gestured to Theros and Dessa, "are playing right into their hands." The statement sent a chill through the room. Dessa exchanged a glance with Theros. "Who's pulling the strings?" she pressed. Raid smirked but stayed silent, refusing to divulge more. However, analysis of his encrypted communications pointed to a high-ranking Xylonian official, someone with influence over the council. The revelation. Elijah and Zara, still recovering from the events of the gala, were called into a private meeting with Theros, Dessa, and the colony's governing board. Theros laid out the evidence they had uncovered: encrypted messages, supply chain anomalies, and hidden funding trails all pointed to Elder Kairos, the disgraced Xylonian council member, as being only part of a larger conspiracy. Zara's expression darkened as she reviewed the data. "This can't be Kairos alone. He doesn't have the resources or the reach for something of this scale." Theros nodded. "Exactly. Our analysts believe there's another figure orchestrating these attacks, a Xylonian elder still in power." The revelation struck hard. If a sitting elder was involved, it meant the conspiracy ran deep within Xylan's leadership, threatening not only the alliance but Zara's own standing as a diplomat. "We need proof," Zara said. "Accusations without evidence will fracture the council further." Dessa spoke up. "There's one way to get that proof. Raid's communications show a meeting scheduled on the outskirts of the Orion Nebula, a known neutral zone for shady deals. If we intercept it, we might uncover the truth." The mission. Elijah, Zara, Dessa, and a small team boarded a stealth transport ship bound for the meeting site. The journey through the Orion Nebula was fraught with challenges. The dense clouds of gas and debris disrupted their navigation systems, forcing them to rely on Zara's Xylonian piloting instincts. As they approached the rendezvous point, their scanners detected multiple ships already in the area. A cloaked frigate loomed ominously near a derelict station, its design distinctly Xylonian. Smaller human vessels hovered nearby, confirming the conspiracy's interspecies reach. "We're not alone," Elijah muttered, staring at the tactical display. Dessa activated the ship's stealth systems, masking their presence. "We'll need to get close enough to record their communications. Zara, Elijah, you're coming with me. We'll infiltrate the station while Theros and the others monitor from here." The team donned environment suits and boarded a small shuttle, slipping undetected into the derelict station. The atmosphere inside was thin and stale, the corridors dimly lit by flickering emergency lights. Uncovering the truth. As they moved deeper into the station, the trio overheard voices coming from a central chamber. Peering through a cracked viewport, they saw a gathering of conspirators, representatives from both human and Xylonian factions. At the center of the group stood Elder Nixis, a respected member of the Xylonian Council known for her progressive rhetoric. Zara's heart sank. Nixis had been one of her mentors, someone she had admired for years. To see her here, orchestrating plans to dismantle the alliance, was a betrayal she could barely process. Nixis spoke in low, commanding tones. "The alliance is a facade. True power lies in control, not cooperation. We've planted the seeds of distrust, now we must ensure they bear fruit. Another conspirator, a human industrialist, nodded. The attack at the gala was a setback, but it proved their vulnerabilities. We'll escalate our efforts, destabilize their leadership, and ensure the alliance collapses under its own weight. Elijah recorded the conversation, his hands trembling. We've got what we need, he whispered. Zara, however, couldn't tear her eyes away from Nixis. I have to confront her, she said, her voice shaking with equal parts anger and heartbreak. Dessa grabbed her arm. Not now. If we blow our cover, we lose everything. Reluctantly, Zara nodded, and the trio retreated to their shuttle. But as they prepared to leave the station, their stealth systems failed, likely sabotaged by the station's automated defenses. A desperate escape. The conspirators immediately detected their presence, and alarms blared throughout the station. Armed guards poured into the corridors, forcing Elijah, Zara, and Dessa into a firefight. Elijah, though untrained for combat, used his engineering expertise to rig explosives from the station's power cells, creating makeshift diversions. Dessa's sharp aim and combat prowess kept the guards at bay, while Zara used her knowledge of the station's layout to guide them to the shuttle. We're not going to make it. Elijah shouted as the guards closed in. Zara grabbed his hand, her voice firm. Yes, we will. Trust me. They reached the shuttle and launched just as the conspirators' ships began to pursue them. Back on their stealth transport, Theros activated defensive measures, buying them enough time to jump to hyperspace. The fallout. The team returned to the Juno space colony with irrefutable evidence of Nixis's involvement. Zara, though devastated by the betrayal, presented the recordings to the Xylonian Council in a closed session. This conspiracy isn't just an attack on the Alliance, Zara said, her voice steady despite her turmoil. It's an attack on everything we stand for. Nixis must be held accountable. The council was divided. Some elders supported Zara's call for justice, while others hesitated, fearing the scandal would weaken Xylan's position in the Alliance. Meanwhile, on Earth, the revelations sparked outrage. Protests erupted, with factions demanding accountability and justice. The fragile alliance teetered on the brink of collapse. Cliffhanger. As the part ends, Nixis remains at large, her whereabouts unknown. Meanwhile, Zara receives a cryptic message on her private communicator: "You've won this round, but the game isn't over. The galaxy will see the truth soon enough." Elijah and Zara, exhausted but determined, prepare for the next battle. The Alliance's survival depends on exposing the full extent of the conspiracy, but with powerful enemies still lurking in the shadows, the stakes have never been higher. The revelations of Elder Nixis's betrayal and her role in the conspiracy shook the galaxy. The alliance between humans and Xylonians, already fragile, faced its greatest test. Protests erupted across allied worlds, and whispers of dissolution filled the corridors of power. Elijah and Zara, battered but resolute, knew that the battle for unity wasn't over, it had only just begun. A galaxy in turmoil. The fallout from the revelations was swift and severe. On Xylan, conservative factions rallied around Nixis's rhetoric, calling her a patriot defending their traditions. On Earth, human extremists seized the opportunity to stoke fear, claiming that the Xylonians had been manipulating humanity from the start. The Juno space colony became a lightning rod for the conflict. Its position as a hub for interspecies cooperation made it both a symbol of hope and a target for those who opposed the alliance. Captain Theros bolstered security, while Dessa coordinated intelligence efforts to track Nixis's whereabouts. "She's not done," Dessa warned during a strategy meeting. "Nixis doesn't strike me as the type to retreat. She's regrouping, and we need to be ready." Elijah nodded. "If we're going to stop her, we need more than defense. We need to take the fight to her." A bold plan. Zara, deeply shaken by her former mentor's betrayal, worked tirelessly to rally support within the Xylonian Council. Despite resistance, she managed to secure a coalition of elders willing to denounce Nixis and her actions. However, the Council's support came with a caveat: proof of Nixis's current plans and her backers. Meanwhile, Theros and his team uncovered a lead, a hidden base on the outskirts of the Andromeda Expanse, believed to be Nixis's stronghold. The location was heavily fortified, but it represented their best chance to end the conspiracy. Elijah, Zara, Dessa, and Theros devised a daring plan. They would infiltrate the base, gather evidence of Nixis's operations, and broadcast it across the galaxy. If they could expose her network to the public, they could shatter the conspiracy's foundation. "This won't be easy," Theros said, his tone grim. "But if we succeed, we can turn the tide." Zara placed a hand on Elijah's shoulder. "Are you ready for this?" Elijah gave her a small smile. "With you?" "Always." The infiltration. The team departed for the Andromeda Expanse aboard a stealth cruiser, navigating through treacherous asteroid fields and nebula storms to avoid detection. As they approached the base, its formidable defenses came into view: plasma turrets, drone swarms, and cloaked patrol ships. Using advanced jamming technology and precise maneuvers, the team evaded the outer defenses and docked in a maintenance bay. Disguised as technicians, they infiltrated the base, weaving through its labyrinthine corridors. Inside, the base was a hive of activity. Human and Xylonian operatives worked side by side, coordinating attacks on Allied outposts. The scale of the operation was staggering, confirming the conspiracy's reach. Elijah hacked into the base's central database, downloading critical files while Dessa stood guard. Zara and Theros monitored the operatives, identifying key players in Nixis's network. As they worked, Elijah uncovered a chilling plan: a coordinated strike on Juno Space Colony, intended to cripple the Alliance once and for all. "We have to warn the colony," Elijah said, his voice urgent. Zara nodded. "Not yet. If we tip them off now, Nixis will accelerate her plans. We need to finish this." The confrontation. The team's presence didn't go unnoticed. Alarms blared as Nixis herself appeared on a holoscreen, her expression calm yet cold. "Zara," Nixis said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I expected more from you. To side with these humans. It's disappointing. You betrayed everything we stand for, Nixis," Zara shot back. "This alliance is our future. Your actions only sow division and destruction." Nixis's eyes narrowed. "The alliance is a lie. Unity is a weakness, a chain that binds us to lesser beings. You'll see that soon enough." The transmission ended as guards stormed the room. A fierce battle ensued, with Dessa and Theros holding off the attackers while Elijah completed the data extraction. Zara, armed with a plasma blade, confronted a Xylonian commander loyal to Nixis, their duel a clash of ideals as much as skill. Elijah's voice crackled over the comms. "I've got the files. Let's get out of here." The broadcast. The team fought their way back to the cruiser, narrowly escaping as the base's defenses mobilized. During the flight back to Juno, Elijah decrypted the files, uncovering the full extent of Nixis's plans. They included damning evidence of her involvement in the attacks, her financial backers, and even her contingency plans for galactic domination. Back on Juno, Zara and Elijah coordinated a live broadcast to the galaxy. They shared the evidence, exposing Nixis's network and her true motives. The broadcast included footage of the conspirators' meetings, intercepted communications, and personal testimonies from those affected by the attacks. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Public outcry against Nixis and her allies erupted across Allied worlds. Protests turned into movements, calling for justice and renewed commitment to the alliance. The final strike. Nixis, cornered but defiant, made a last-ditch effort to strike at Juno Space Colony. Her forces launched an assault, their fleet descending upon the colony with devastating firepower. This time, the Alliance was ready. United by the broadcast's revelations, fleets from across the galaxy converged on Juno, forming a formidable defense. Humans, Xylonians, and other species fought side by side, their cooperation a testament to the Alliance's strength. Elijah and Zara joined the fight, using their ship's advanced systems to disable enemy vessels. Theros led the colony's defense, coordinating strikes that turned the tide of battle. The climactic confrontation came when Zara and Dessa infiltrated Nixus's flagship. In a tense showdown, Zara faced her former mentor one last time. "You could have been a force for good," Zara said, her voice steady despite the emotions roiling within her. "Instead, you chose fear." Nixus sneered. "And you chose weakness. But history will remember me." Their duel was swift and brutal, ending with Zara disarming Nixus and placing her under arrest. A new dawn. With Nixus defeated and her network dismantled, the galaxy began to heal. The Alliance, though scarred, emerged stronger than before. Trust, forged in the fires of conflict, solidified into a foundation for lasting cooperation. Elijah and Zara became symbols of unity, their story inspiring generations to come. Together, they continued their work, bridging divides and fostering understanding between species. On the observation deck of the Juno space colony, they stood side by side, gazing out at the stars. "We did it," Elijah said softly. Zara smiled, her hand slipping into his. "No, Elijah. We started it." The stars shimmered with promise, a reminder that the galaxy, vast and infinite, held endless possibilities for those willing to reach for them. The end. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For more exciting HFY stories. Your support means the world to us. And make sure to tap the bell icon, so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for our next adventure, and until then, keep exploring the stars. See you in the next video.